In the history of political conflict, one weapon has always worked in silence. Poison. For centuries, it has ended wars, removed rivals, and erased threats without a sound. And the Soviet Union perfected it. Even the United States explored similar methods. In the 1960s, when Washington considered eliminating Fidel Castro, one CIA idea involved a cigar laced with botulinum toxin, because Castro smoked them daily. Whenever someone needed to disappear quietly, poison was always an option. Some historians trace the beginning to the early 1920s. After a severe heart attack, Lenin was allegedly in such agony that he asked Stalin for cyanide. Stalin refused, but the incident marked the start of the Kremlin's interest in poisons. Others point earlier. In 1918, during an assassination attempt, Lenin's doctors suspected the bullet might have been coated with toxins. Most researchers agree on the key point. By the mid-1920s, a dedicated poison facility was operating under Lenin's authority. Inside the Kremlin, a hidden laboratory took shape, a place designed to manufacture untraceable death. It went by many names: Special Office, Laboratory Number 1, Laboratory X, Laboratory 12. But under Stalin, one name defined it: Kamera, meaning the chamber. Invisible, denied, perfect for quiet operations. And to understand just how far this story reaches, stay with us. This is USMag. In 1957, the anti-Soviet writer Lev Rebet died, officially of a heart attack. Yet years later, a former KGB officer claimed he had sprayed cyanide gas directly onto Rebet's face from a small hidden vial. A quiet death, hidden in plain sight. Another victim, a politician, was reportedly poisoned through a reading lamp. The heat from the bulb caused the toxic substance to spread throughout the room. Invisible, silent, deadly. Agents also experimented with sodium fluoride. In precise amounts, it could kill, yet leave no obvious cause. Because traces of it already existed in ordinary life, it could slip past even the most meticulous tests. Over the past 2 decades, a quiet pattern has emerged. People who dared to question Moscow, critics, former intelligence officers, journalists, even elected figures began to fall ill under suspicious circumstances. And many of them shared one chilling detail: poison. In the United Kingdom, 2 ex-members of Russia's security services became global headlines. In 2006, Alexander Litvinenko suffered a slow, agonizing decline after ingesting a rare radioactive element, polonium-210, something only a state could realistically obtain. 12 years later, in 2018, Sergei Skripal and his daughter were exposed to a military-grade nerve agent known as Novichok, turning a quiet British town into the center of an international crisis. Alexei Navalny, one of Russia's loudest opposition voices, has also faced more than one attempt on his life. Investigators believe one attack happened so subtly that the poison was slipped into a simple cup of tea. These cases share the same unnerving trait. They leave behind confusion, uncertainty, and almost no trace of the attacker. Unlike bullets or bombs, poison works in silence. No witnesses, no gunshots, no rushing footsteps in the dark, just a slow collapse and a mystery that often remains unsolved. And that invisibility is exactly what makes it such a powerful weapon. According to Professor Mark Galeotti, a prominent voice at the Royal United Services Institute, the world of poisoning can be divided into 2 very different methods. There are the quiet ones, the kinds of toxins that slip in unnoticed, almost invisible at first. They settle into the body slowly, gently, until subtle discomfort turns into real suffering. The symptoms build over hours or even days, leaving the victim confused, uncertain, and unaware of the true cause. And while the person being targeted struggles alone, the one responsible remains in the shadows. A simple denial, a casual shrug, even a subtle hint that the warning has been delivered, without ever admitting to anything at all. Then there are the more forceful poisons, blunt, immediate, and impossible to mistake. But it's the quiet ones, the ones that hide behind ambiguity, that often carry the most chilling intent. Thallium, a chemical commonly used in rodent poison, became another weapon. Its symptoms were known to doctors. Yet, even they struggled to determine whether death had come naturally or been orchestrated. By the time an autopsy took place, the poison could vanish completely, leaving nothing behind. In some rare cases, traces of poison were discovered. But uncovering the assassin? Almost impossible. This was a world where murder left no fingerprints, and fear itself became a weapon. A bullet fired at close range can rarely be disguised as suicide. But poison leaves questions. It creates doubt. And killers learn to exploit that uncertainty. Some toxins strike immediately. Others drag out death, slow, painful, inevitable. Yet in every case, one thing remained constant: silence. A death no one could trace. A warning to anyone watching too closely. When experts talk about the deadliest chemical agents on Earth, Professor Alistair Hay, a leading British authority on toxic substances, often points to one category above all others: the nerve agents built from phosphorus-based organic compounds, the ones sitting at the very top of the toxicity scale. He explains that identifying these substances isn't simple. There are hundreds of possible toxins, some extremely lethal, others hiding in plain sight inside everyday pesticides or certain medical treatments. But the dangerous ones don't need quantity. Just a trace, barely a drop, can end a life. And they slip into almost any drink without leaving a trace. From the perspective of a professional killer, that makes them especially useful. Most routine blood tests, they show nothing. To uncover the real culprit, you need highly specialized equipment, rare machines, and technical expertise that many hospital labs simply don't have. And that gap, that delay in discovery, is exactly what makes these poisons so effective in the shadows. Deep within the shadows of the Soviet Union, a secret laboratory existed that the world would only learn about decades later. Its existence came to light when 6 trunks of documents compiled over 30 years by Vasily Mitrokhin finally reached the West. Mitrokhin had collected these papers during his time as an archivist for the KGB's Foreign Intelligence Directorate, and later, the First Chief Directorate. Quietly, meticulously, preserving the dark history of a hidden empire. Over the years, retired officers and defectors revealed fragments of the Soviet security service's most sinister operations. But the most chilling revelations came from Stalin's former agent, Pavel Sudoplatov, who wrote about the laboratory and its director, Professor Grigory Myronovsky. Sudoplatov claimed that Myronovsky would inject poison into people, all under the guise of routine medical checkups, a routine that concealed murder. On orders from Lavrenti Beria, the head of Stalin's secret police, and General Vasily Blokhin, these poisons were tested on prisoners in the brutal Gulag labor camps: mustard gas, cyanide, and a range of other deadly toxins. Victims included high-profile targets like Swedish diplomat Raoul Wallenberg, who died mysteriously in Soviet custody. And beyond him, Ukrainian nationalists and defectors quietly disappearing into the shadows. A laboratory where science became a weapon, where poison was perfected, and death became invisible. A hidden chapter of history that few would ever live to tell. At the height of the Cold War, a disturbing pattern began to emerge. Political rivals, defectors, exiles, and even leaders fighting for freedom were targeted with chemical and nerve agents. The true number of victims may never be known. The former Russian military intelligence officer and author of the KGB Poison Factory wrote, "When poison is involved, who can ever count the victims?" Even in the final years of the Soviet Union, the KGB continued its quiet campaign, silencing anyone deemed a threat. In 1978, KGB agent Oleg Kalugin confirmed the Soviet Union's involvement in the assassination of journalist Georgy Markov in London. Yet even today, it is unclear whether the laboratory responsible for these deadly experiments was ever fully dismantled, or if some version of it still operates, somewhere in Russia. A hidden world of poison, a shadow of secrecy and silence, whose full story may never be revealed. If you want to dive deeper into these untold histories, the covert operations, and the secrets that shaped our world, make sure you subscribe to USMag, hit the bell icon, and stay with us for more stories that reveal what really happens in the shadows.